Good morning and welcome to what is the latest installation in Short Story October. Now, it was meant to be spooky season October. However, my complete lack of skill in picking spooky books has meant that I've ended up with a whole heap of short stories that have been driving me insane, to be honest. Do think I go a little bit weird when I'm reading too many short stories. Time passes too fast and everything. Anyhow, what I've got today is a short story that was a fail for Spooky October because it is not spooky. Title is Evil Inc. And I thought I'd be okay. I thought I'd be pretty safe with something that calls itself, EvilCo, not Evil Inc. by Michael Pryor. And I thought it'd be pretty safe with a name like that. In fact, it wasn't spooky and it wasn't evil. It was comic. Now, there's some homegrown information for this one. First of all, this story came out of numbers 27-28 of Aurealis, which is the Australian fantasy and science fiction magazine, which I'm quite happy to own this copy. They're hard to find. Now, Australia does have a booming writing scene and quite a significant science fiction and fantasy scene as well. But I've got to tell you, they're not easy to find. I know that they're there, and I still can't find them. And whenever you talk to someone who does know about Aurealis, which incidentally is an annual award for best science fiction novel as well, whenever you talk to someone who's into the writer's scene, they seem almost offended that you can't find any information. But it's not my fault, it's the internet. I didn't even know about Aurealis really, whether it was going or not, until the internet happened in the first place. Now, the thing about a lot of Australian science fiction and fantasy, and a lot of our publishing industries, is that they tend to be small scale. They tend to be very independent. And the thing about independence is that they tend to go under and then grow up anew under a different name, or lose funding and vanish for a couple of years and then come back. All of these things make it really hard to trace if you aren't yourself a writer or in the game or a subscriber or something like that. So, welcome to the Australian fantasy and science fiction industry. I do my best to support it, but it can be hard. Now, in other homegrown news, in the long dark winter nights, where sometimes the temperature fell to a horrifying Queensland low of like 11 degrees or something, icy, I sat at home and I did some painting. So this is a homegrown t-shirt. We've got an alien drinking beer because he's an alien in Australia. And what do you do when you come to Australia? You drink cold beer. And I should have made this one bigger, but I've got a little spaceship pulling up kangaroos, because if I was an alien on a spaceship pulling up things, I wouldn't be humans and it wouldn't be cows. Kangaroos are far more interesting than both, if you ask me. Macropods in general. Anyhow, enough raving and ranting. Without further ado, let us leap into EvilCo by Michael Pryor. Now, one of the lovely things about the Aurealis magazines is the illustrations are spectacular. And this one by Catriona Sparks, which opens EvilCo, is magnificent. I would totally wear that on a t-shirt. Actually, I would totally hang that up on my wall. Great. I wonder if it was ever in colour. In colour, would it be even more spectacular? Anyhow, Michael Pryor himself is, surprising nobody, an Australian author. He was born in 1957. I think he was born in Victoria, but he lives in Victoria now, and he writes. He describes his genre, I believe, as speculative fiction, which works well. He's actually written quite a lot of books. He's got various novels and various series. You've got the Doorways trilogy, the Quintaris Chronicles, the Laws of Magic, Chronicles of Crandor, Leo da Vinci. There's heaps of them, including Ghost Town. I would have liked to try Ghost Town. I feel like maybe Ghost Town would have been more appropriate for spooky season, but with Michael Pryor, who can tell? He's also got a lot of short fiction essays. EvilCo, which sounded so promising, starts with, will Anna, whatever. Will Z, CEO of EvilCo, swore at the speakerphone. Then he picked it up, ripped the cord from the socket, and hurled the thing at the bookshelf that covered one wall. The phone caroomed off a stainless steel vase and smashed into a Waterford carafe. The carafe exploded like a bomb. Okay. So that's the style of writing. It's a bit flamboyant. It's very tongue-in-cheek. Actually, probably there's about 7 tongues, each in a different cheek. It's humour, which I don't always love. So we start with this notion that EvilCo is an actual corporate, and it's very corporation in the sense of real world corporation. I should have finished that sentence, so you'll be less confused than I am. And you've got this corporation structure, share market, CEOs, secretaries, fancy restaurants, but draped over the top of it is a totally magical realism type situation where I think one of the employees has hooves, and the CEO's assistant walks down the street and it's full of wood nymphs in from the country to the big city. You've got all these magical creatures. I think security is an half ogre who's had orthodontic work so he can actually speak properly. That sort of drift. You get my drift here, don't you? I'm pretty sure you do, because most people who watch this are very much into the speculatives themselves. Okay, so this particular one is from 2000, number 2728, I'm pretty sure is from 2001, though it's really hard to find these details. It's brought out by Chimera Publications, maybe. Chimera Publications may or may not exist. It's complicated. It's complicated, okay? So we're in this world, and the CEO, Will Z, is a bad guy, and we've got this other character who is clearly some sort of ironic and a stereotypical humour of geek guys, because he used to have a normal life where he did triathlons and wore nice clothes, only then he got this really impossible to pronounce name that seems to start with Gak. I feel like this name is meant to be a humorous take on something in IT or geekdom, but I could never figure out what it was. I sat there in the living room trying to pronounce it out loud until my bird stared at me like I'd lost my brains. I still can't understand what the humour is meant to mean. He's in IT, and he's had to leave behind his real life. He has to lock the door and covertly eat his lentil bar and apple and drink spring water because he's meant to be a geek and feed on triple meat lovers with barbecue sauce, and I don't know. That's the kind of humour. And I'm not going to lie, for the first 3 or 4 pages, I had a real hard time with it. It doesn't help that Aurealis has that white shiny, I'm going to sound so superficial here, but it's got that white shiny paper. It's got a format and script that are not easy for me to read. So for the first few pages, I was struggling. I'd read a page or half a page, I'd go away and do something else, I'd come back. I had determination. You hear me, Michael Pryor? You hear me, Aurealis? I'm sure you don't. I'm sure you don't watch this. But if you do, I did my best. And then finally, around about page 4 or 5, I was hooked in and I was right into the story. And I really enjoyed it in the end. So, evil CEO Will Z whatever starts to become, along with his IT nerd who would rather be a triathlon runner. There we go. Gak Agul, Kakt, Glakt, Gralik. Let's just call him Gralik. Okay, Gralik in IT has realised that there's some sort of takeover or aggressive takedown of this company. That's all sorts of people are trying to infect the software, smuggle in arcane rings that will take down the company, etc., etc. And we eventually find out that evil CEO Will Z took over this company from its hereditary ruler and king, and there is a hereditary ruler out there with a magic sword which he never really uses but looks really cool when it's described briefly. Called, what is his name? It was a good name. Darius, that's it. I think that was a comment on classic literature, to be honest. So Darius is trying to take it down, or maybe his sister is, or maybe it's complicated. But I ended up really enjoying it. So if you want to feel utterly confused for a while, and if you can, which I doubt, find Aurealis number 27 or 28 and read this EvilCo story, or find Michael Pryor. I think if you like the humor of things like what was that book with the ogre starting the coffee shop? Somethings and lattes, legends and lattes. There. If you like the legends and lattes style, I think you'll probably very much enjoy Michael Pryor. What it did remind me of is just how much Australians seem to love this magical realism dressed over corporate structure as a way to insult corporate structure. As an Australian, I approve of that. Which reminded me, that story by Michael Pryor reminded me a lot of The Business of Death by Trent Jameson from Brisbane. Great book. I don't think I've reviewed this, but I have read it recently. So, a bit of an Australian short story for you. Right now, the short story situation is dire, and I don't think I can bear it anymore. So, I'm going to go away and read a real book that lasts for more than 15 minutes. And at the moment, I'm thinking it will either be The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. Watcher of this channel reminded me of Henry James recently, and I thought, hey, that's spooky season. I haven't reread that for at least 6 months. Maybe this will be it. Or maybe The Magic Toy Shop by Angela Carter. That's Angela Carter, by her very existence, was kind of spooky, and everything that she wrote was pretty odd. This one has been filed under Gothic and Horror on Goodreads, so I have a deep belief that it might satisfy, and it's longer than 5 pages, so it wins on that one alone. Okay, I'm going out for the day. There will not probably be much reading today. By all means, let me know which one of these 2 books you think I should read. I might even read the one that the most people vote for, though who knows, it might happen. Have a great day. Read good books, or if you're into them, short stories. If you are really into short stories and you can find any of them, I would recommend Aurealis, because, you know, Australian authors really don't get enough love. They're pretty damn good. Read good books or short stories.